Hello and welcome to the OpenSpace Air webinar. My name is Jess Lam. I'm the Director of Product here at OpenSpace. I've been working in construction technology for a number of years now, specifically in reality capture. I actually got my start in drones back at 3D Robotics, where we built SiteScan for mapping and modeling construction and mining sites. Less than a month ago, we launched OpenSpace Air. Today, I'm excited to share why we built OpenSpace Air, our approach, demo the feature set, and talk about our future plans. If you have any questions during the webinar, feel free to drop them into the chat. Our solutions engineer and resident drone expert, Enrique Amaya, will be standing by to answer them as we go. But before I get into all that goodness, I'd like to introduce Adam Fyrer of Suffolk, one of our first beta testers, who's been a great partner, and Adam Satino of OpenSpace, in a discussion about the value that Suffolk gets from OpenSpace Air and the different uses they're already getting from the new product. With that, I'll hand it off to the Adams.
Thanks, Jess. As Jess said, I'm Adam Satino. I am the Director of Solution Engineers here at OpenSpace, and I'm honored to be joined with Adam Fyrer, Construction Technology Associate at Suffolk Construction. I'll give you 2 minutes to introduce yourself for everybody out there.
Hey guys, I'm Adam Fyrer. I'm a Construction Technology Associate here at Suffolk Construction. I work with our field teams, assess their problems, and find innovative or cutting-edge solutions, whether that be within our current tech stack or outside of that, partnering with our venture capital firm.
Great. Suffolk's a large organization, very innovative, using a lot of construction tech. We're going to start big picture here, then zoom in on the drones. How does Suffolk approach technology, and how do you decide what to evaluate, and how do you make that decision process of what to roll out into the field?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, right, so my team, we work at a national basis and also at that regional level too. We focus on the field problems, making sure that our fields supported. We take their problems, assess the market, see if there's a solution, and then we look globally at our other projects and making sure that that specific tool or that specific problem can fit amongst multiple projects. And from there, obviously, we create a plan for a rollout or a pilot at a small scale, and then go up from there.
Great. And what are some of those key challenges that you guys are typically trying to solve? And there's always, the shiny new toy out there. How do you decide what is, innovative versus really what's practical out in the field and will make an impact for your people building out in the field?
Yeah, so again, my team, we're really field focused. So we want to make sure that any piece of cutting edge technology actually fits into their processes. We want to make sure that it's actually useful to them. We don't want to just necessarily chase a shiny ball because it's shiny. We want to make sure that it's solving a problem and is not an extra burden onto their daily life. And that's why we partner with our preferred vendors, OpenSpace in particular, and helping them create cutting edge solutions so that way it's easier to roll out onto our projects, and we already have those relationships maintained or built with you guys or other solutions where we can again help influence that product roadmap.
Yeah, and like we said, you are a very large organization. For those out there who don't know, I was on the construction side for 9 years, director of EDC, so I felt the pain of rolling out construction tech in the field. So when you do find something you think has value, and maybe you've done that pilot and you've decided, okay, this is something that we want to roll out globally, like how do you go about that with such a large team?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, right, we work regionally and nationally. We have to validate that problem nationally. That one, it's a big enough issue to essentially bring a solution to scale. And then we have to look at, again, the deployability of the solution. Is the team internally at that solution ready for 150 projects, over 250 people, 300 people, 1,000 people being in their tool? Is the data able to be pulled from that tool? Where else does it plug into our ecosystem? So that way it's just not another siloed tool that doesn't connect to anything else. Yeah. And then we have to work with our change management team, because rollouts are change doesn't happen overnight, and especially in the construction industry.
Very slow,
Yes.
very slow. But we're all getting there, right?
Yeah.
Well, we're here to talk about drones. So, can you walk us through how Suffolk got interested in drones, why they started using drones, and kind of how that has evolved over time within the company?
Yeah, so Suffolk had primarily started using drones, early on. We're, again, one of the companies on the leading edge of technology, where, it was for marketing purposes, and then it developed into, using them for, updates with our owners, doing, logistics planning with our clients, and, providing that documentation to teams nationally or teams locally that can't necessarily always make it out to site. And as tech has become more and more affordable, we see more and more of our teams adopting drones for just their specific site usage.
Yeah, I'm curious, with all the projects you have out there, what percentage are you using drones on right now?
So a lot of our projects that aren't necessarily in a city setting where there are high restrictions or no restriction or heavy restrictions on using drones, we see like a large adoption. Not sure on the exact percentage, but I'm seeing more and more people requesting drone licenses or asking me what type of equipment they should be buying on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's great. And do you have any recent use cases where drones really provided impact and provided value for the team?
Yeah, so I mean we have a few projects that are remotely located where project team members can't always make it out to site. So our team flew out there, did some captures, and provided that drone data to our planners, our digital engineers, all in a remote manner where they don't need to be on site. And then the team members out on site have gotten licenses where they can now fly in their own with owner obviously and jurisdiction approvals to provide that data to the core team back here in Boston or New York or Florida.
Yeah.
So that way we can save money and save time of communicating issues back and forth.
Yeah, so really giving that 300-foot view to get everybody on the same page.
Exactly.
That's great. So now let's get into OpenSpace Air. It's something we've been developing for not too long, actually. It happened really quick. Proud of the engineer team. You've been on the beta since the beginning, and it's been about 2 months now. So what has that experience been like so far?
Yeah, so I mean, with OpenSpace Air, it unlocks a whole new realm of open space. It consolidates our 360 captures from our teams just walking around on site with our air captures. Again, that's been one of our huge feedback points to you guys the past 2 years is being able to consolidate all of our field documentation into one platform. Our team being able to live in one spot and not have to log into multiple solutions in multiple areas. And even our clients as well, we can send them a link to OpenSpace and say, hey, we uploaded the most recent air capture here. Let me know if you have any questions, rather than sending them a link to another solution or a download or raw photos and them having to sort and filter through themselves. It's just one less point solution.
Yeah, I mean, consolidation has a ton of value. I remember on the customer side, we did a look at all the tools that we're using. It was 50, 60, 70 different types of tools, a lot of overlap. And just expecting somebody to log out of something and log back into a different tool to access a different type of data is a barrier to adoption. So obviously, the more you can consolidate into one, the more value you have. With that, what was how was the onboarding going? How was getting people involved in it and trained up and getting some of the captures on there?
Yeah, so I mean, the onboarding was pretty straightforward. Like you mentioned earlier, teams can just go on the left-hand side of their toolbar, click the little drone image, and upload the raw files. You guys were really smart in the way you made the program, so that way, we didn't have to worry about how old our equipment was, if we needed a certain integration with a certain software to OpenSpace, if we needed, a third-party piloting app that would integrate it automatically into your software. Again, you can just upload raw files, no matter who takes it, no matter what the equipment is, and dump it in. So the teams were really eager and just automatically uploaded things, and no issues.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. So for those of you out there who don't know, if you're a current OpenSpace capture customer, OpenSpace Air is included on your project. So as John was saying, you'll see that little drone icon on the left. You can feel free to click that and upload some flights and give it a test. But so as you guys have gone rolling with it, are there any features that have stood out?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few. I mean, first off, the side-by-side compare you guys have done completely uniquely in an open space way, where you can capture or take one capture, put it on the left side of your screen, the other capture on the right side of your screen, and you don't have to worry about a slide bar in the middle. You can kind of just scroll around and like your BIM viewer or like your compare on the 360 side, it'll scroll around and match those photos with you. And then you can also zoom in, zoom out, which is awesome. The other thing that's really cool is the additional photo section. I got really creative once and was talking to a project team, and I said, hey, why don't you take some of your Procore photos and dump them into OpenSpace onto a drone capture. And we did that as an additional image, and it dropped them onto the exact spot that they had taken the photo on that specific day on that specific drone capture, the XYZ coordinates. And you could turn the additional images on, see them, and it was before a concrete pour, so they were doing like rebar inspections, and they'd just flown that day as well, and so it was really cool to see the alignment between the two photos.
Yeah, that's cool. That was when we were chatting before we started to record, you mentioned that I haven't heard anybody do that use case, and that split view, I agree. I was kind of honored the engineer team kind of named after me the Splitino, because I was like, hey, I'm kind of dumb. I'm not the brightest, so I always forget with that window, when I cover it up, what was there and what was not, so going back and forth. And I was like, can we do it like our 360 captures and make it so you zoom in at the same spot and you're looking at the same thing? And then they went up to me and they did it with 4. So now you can have up to four comparisons and look at 1, 2, 3, 4 months or every 3 months and get a good overview of how the site has progressed. In the short amount of time you've been using OpenSpace Air, are there any stories or places where it's already provided value for, you have several projects on it now, and where has it provided value for those projects so far?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, huge Precon value, right? Sending our teams out there early on in the project when, we're doing coordination and wanting to get a point cloud from that like photogrammetry model, and delivering that to our digital engineers, and, also during execution, right? I was talking to a senior super the other day at one of our larger projects on the platform, and he was trying to figure out how to do a comparison of his logistics plan with a pour plan, as well as their current underground conduit plan. And I brought up OpenSpace Air, how their project has started using it, and this is a large project team. There's 60 people on this site, and he was like, oh, it'd be really cool if I could also incorporate drone images into this. It's like, oh, you guys are using OpenSpace Air. And he's like, oh. He's like, can I do overlays? And he was able to upload his overlays into the system and compare all the sheets with the current existing conditions, and help coordinate the trade partners on site within 10 minutes.
Cool. Yeah, no, that's great. That's a good use case. And yeah, along with that, we have the 3D meshes, the point clouds and everything, and you'll see soon with Jess as he comes up and shows the product. We got a lot more that will be coming out throughout the summer. So with that, looking ahead, where do you see OpenSpace and OpenSpace Air moving forward onto your projects and in your tech stack?
Yeah, you guys are doing some really cool stuff that we've had the opportunities to be a part of those early on betas, which has obviously sparked my interest personally, as well as Suffolk's interest as an organization in regards of AI and being able to compare and QA/QC things automatically to drawings, to field notes, and being able to sync those to different systems, so that way again you're using a centralized documentation system that's talking to everything else that you use. Yeah. In particular, Revisto or Procore, making sure that documentation is being shared and resolved quickly. And then, I go back to that comparison tool, the overlays tool. Eventually incorporating AI into that, being able to pull a quick measurement before a concrete pour, based on what's in the field versus what's on your shop, and correct it hours, if not minutes, before that pour. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but field conditions versus actual conditions.
Yeah, that's great. And you made a great point there a minute ago of not only are we consolidating kind of more information in one place, but we're also allowing it to connect to the other core tools that you're using out there in the field. Yeah. That's also a challenge, right? So for all the people out there, as they get started with OpenSpace Air and drones, and is there any advice for everybody how to kind of approach that and move forward in their journey?
Yeah, so in regards of getting started with drones, I mean, obviously get certified, make sure you have the right insurances, make sure you have the right licenses, as well as the correct permissions from the correct authorities. And then just get out there and fly. I mean, that's the best thing you can do in this case, and see how you can use those captures, right? There's so many different things that you can do with drone captures, and you are only going to realize them until you start implementing it into your workflow.
Yeah, that's a great point. Well, really appreciate you joining us. We're about out of time, so
Thank you.
Thank you. It was great, and I'm going to toss it back over to Jess so everybody can see what this product actually looks like.
Thank you, Adam. It was great hearing about the different ways that Suffolk's already using OpenSpace Air. They're even finding some use cases we hadn't thought of yet, so it's awesome to see. Now I'd like to share more of the story behind the product. We launched OpenSpace Air to save our customers, you, time and money. We partner closely with our customers, visiting them on site, jumping on calls, digging into their workflows, not just the way that they use OpenSpace, but how do they use other tools and what are the biggest challenges they're facing. Each year, customers are capturing more and more reality data. We see this in our own analytics. We also hear this from you all. You shared that you all are doing more 360 captures, taking more mobile photos, laser scanning, and doing more drone flights than ever. And when that data ends up in different places, different tools, that information is siloed. You're wasting time logging into different tools, slows down communication and resolving questions. And that just takes up more precious time that you could be building. And that's why we launched OpenSpace Air, giving our customers a single source of truth for the reality data. We already have 360 video and photos. We've got mobile photos, field notes, laser scans, and now we've added drone data. And we're able to do this so quickly because multiple members of our management and leadership team got into construction tech through drones, including myself, our founder and CEO, Jeevan Kalanithi, Enrique, and other members of our sales and engineering teams that you may have already interfaced with. We understand the benefits, but also the challenges with drone technology and how best we can apply that value that we already deliver from our leading 360 capture solution with the benefits and value of drones. One of our core product principles here at OpenSpace is ease of use, making it simple for your teams to pick up and learn new features, pick up and adopt OpenSpace, not so that you can capture and document one project, but so you can capture and document your whole business. And that's the approach we took with OpenSpace Air. We want to make it as easy as possible to get your drone data into OpenSpace without having to do a lot of new training and get that data in front of your teams and scale across your business. So our solution is fast, it's drone agnostic, and most importantly, it's included with OpenSpace Capture. When you need to start flying a drone during bidding and Precon, it shouldn't require a full sales cycle. Above all, we want to save you all time and money. Are your field teams able to quickly pick up and use the reality data you've generated? Is it straightforward? Anyone on the team can use it. Is your leadership team able to consolidate their tech spend on tech? And can you roll it out across your business in a matter of days, not months? Those are the boxes we want to check. Now let's jump into the product. I want to start off the demo by thanking Lee Kennedy, one of our customers who's a general contractor in the Boston area, for being a great partner during the beta and on a number of our other releases this year, as well as providing today's demo site. So let's jump into it. Whenever you're here in the product, either looking at 360 capture on Project Home, you can go over to the sidebar and now you'll see drone captures appear. So give that a click and that will bring you to OpenSpace Air. And if you already have a capture uploaded, that will appear here on the map. but for those of you who haven't uploaded capture, maybe starting a new project, I just want to walk through how to get your images into OpenSpace. So you'll start off on the upload screen. If you already have a capture, you can get back to the upload screen by click Create Drone Capture. And this is where one of those places where we want to make it as simple as possible. So you don't need to get any new equipment, integrate with any other tools. Just keep doing what you're already doing in the field with your flights, and take the SD card from the drone, plug that into your laptop or computer, and then go back into OpenSpace Air, click Upload Drone Images, or drag and drop. Select all the images and hit Open. And we'll start uploading those images. And once an image is uploaded, it'll appear over here on the map. And we want to give you a quick and easy way to verify that all the images that you're uploading, you also want to be processed. So if you notice that some are maybe further away from the site, you're able to delete those over here on the left as they're uploaded. If you're new to flying drones on your site, you want to get a refresher, we've got some great resources for you. We have in the OpenSpace Support Center, we have a new section called OpenSpace Air. It has a number of articles. We also have one on drone capture best practices, which will go over altitude, camera angle, overlap, and some suggested flight patterns to get the best results possible. We also have added an OpenSpace Air course to Academy. So for our customers who have used Academy before, you'll know that this comes with articles and video tutorials. So this is a great way to train your teams without having to do lots of real-time trainings or on-site trainings. So they can just jump into OpenSpace Academy and learn how to use OpenSpace Air. Let's jump back over to the product now. So you can see those images are done uploading. We give it a default name, which is the date that the flight was done on site, but you can rename that here. And then if you're ready to kick off processing, hit save, and that'll start processing the flight. Let's go to this version that's already been processed. So in terms of processing time, it's important to us to get you your results as quickly as possible. That's why with our 360 capture solution, we have the leading turnaround time in the industry. We're able to process your flight or your video walks automatically using AI and get you results within minutes, not within hours or days. And on the drone side, we also want to be giving you your results quickly. So 200 photos takes a little under an hour to process. We're seeing larger flights, upwards of 1,000 photos taking around 6 hours. So that means fly in the morning, definitely have your results by lunch, or fly at the end of the day. Make sure you have a fresh set of data to look at when you get on site the next day. So the first output you'll see here is the orthomosaic, which is essentially a 2D map of existing site conditions. And a lot of our customers are using this to plan site work, logistics. So if you need to get a crane into a certain area of the site, or you need to make sure there's clearance for trucks that are going to be moving dirt, this is a great place to start. You can also start to do a little bit of progress tracking and QA/QC, but we've got some additional features I'll jump into it in a second to cover those use cases. In addition to the orthomosaic, we also pin all your flight images to the map. And you see a preview there, or you can click it to go into full screen, and then you can thumb through to get more detail from these high resolution images. There we go. And in addition to your flight mapping images, you're also able to upload additional photos. This is one of the big learnings for me after coming back to drones after a number of years, is that customers are doing a mapping flight, but then they're also doing a second flight afterwards. And in that second flight, you see a couple of primary use cases. One is capturing progress photos on a regular cadence, weekly or monthly on certain areas of the site, often kind of the four corners of the site, and including that with client updates. But another use case is if you're working on a vertical structure and you want to get more detail or specific shots of a facade, you can take photos to just capture certain areas of the building with different camera angles that you wouldn't use in processing. This is also something that Adam mentioned earlier, where he had some of his folks in the field test out uploading some mobile photos to get more detail on the rebar. So you could do that as well, just to get more detail from the ground. As long as it has GPS data, the JPEG image, you can get it into OpenSpace Air. Now, if you are, one of your primary use cases is tracking progress over time, you can get some good information just from switching between the orthos, but we want to make that even easier. That's why we've added in this capture compare tool, which Adams mentioned earlier. We did this kind of in our own way. So there's no slider here. We just maintain the zoom and position of both of the orthos and map. Let's go ahead and change this. Take a look at one of the earliest flights. So this is before there was anyone on site working. But if you want to compare more than 2 sites, we also have the ability to do 3 or even 4. So let's go ahead and check out a couple more orthos and captures here. So you can see how the site progresses over time. And one of the features I love about this is that with drone metadata on the images, sometimes the elevation or GPS can be a little off, even if you do 2 flights in the same day. So we've made it easy to align these orthos to each other in this view. So turn off the lock. And what I like to do is find an area that's in all of the photos. And so I'm placing it down here in the bottom left corner of just this little this place where 2 of the walls meet. And so it appears in all of the flights. And once I've got them all positioned correctly, like that one there, if I hit lock again, it'll maintain that position so that everything lines up for you when you're looking at how your site's changing over time. Of course, when we show this to Adam and some of our other customers, one of the first things, this is great, but how do I get it out of OpenSpace? And so that's one of the things that's in development right now, is the ability to export this view as well as the 2D map view of the ortho. And you'll even be able to export your overlays, which is the next feature I wanted to get into. So being able to understand how your site's progressing is great, but you also want to know, are you building right? Are you following the plans? And so that's why before the launch, we built the overlays feature. And as Adam mentioned, you're able to upload multiple plan files, even of different types. You can load those in here. That can help you understand, did we pour all the footings in the right locations? And or other specific parts of your site. So if you have like an overall site plan, you're doing kind of landscaping or layout, making sure things are going to line up or that you didn't miss anything. And when you have more than one plan turned on at once, we added the ability to change the color, so you can make sure that you've got plenty of contrast in here when you're looking at multiple plans at once. And after you've uploaded and aligned your plan to the ortho using our 3-point alignment tool, we automatically remove the white background, so you don't have to worry about that. So this will load for you cleanly, making it super easy to use. Again, this will be available in the exporting the current map view, probably coming out in the next couple months. And lastly, on the 2D side of things, even though it is 3D data, we have the elevation model. Over here, you can select different color palettes to provide a little more contrast, and you can also drill into specific elevation ranges. We showed this on site to a senior superintendent, and right away it clicked because they were in the earthworks phase, but they were starting to think through how they were going to be draining water in this large parking lot. And so this started to give them a sense of where they might have issues with water pooling. And so you can also use this clip elevation tool, which will remove anything that's outside of this elevation range. So that'll just give you more context on what you're looking at, some of that kind of existing site condition detail. Let's jump over to the 3D world. So we generate both a mesh and a point cloud. We're really proud of the mesh viewer. We're seeing a lot of great results coming from that. And we're seeing customers already using this for client updates, pulling it up during coordination meetings to just have a quicker conversation using that 3D information. Another one of my features, might be small, but I think it's really valuable, is in the navigation. So if you do a left and right click on an object or a point, let's say this toolbox, for instance, and then you drag and pan around, be able to see that point from multiple angles. So you can click anywhere on the site using that 2-point click, and you're able to pivot around that area, which just makes it super easy to maintain kind of your focus while trying to get the full picture. And lastly, we've got the point cloud. We load this with kind of a medium-sized point because we want it to load quickly, want it to be performant, and be able to start navigating. But you're able to drop that point size down if you want a more granular look at the point cloud. And this also has that same two-finger click and drag around a specific point of interest. And of course, when we showed the point cloud viewer to some of our customers we've been working with, first question, this is great. How do I get it into my other tools, into my other workflows? And so that is also something that's actively under development, is the ability to export the point cloud, as well as some of the other data outputs like the elevation model and the ortho, so that you can pull those into your other tools and not have any interruptions in your workflows. And now that we're starting to get a lot of the data in to OpenSpace Air from our customers, we wanted to start giving you, we wanted to start enabling you to take action on what you're seeing. And so that's why we're also actively under development. We're working on measurements, 2D measurements to be specific. So we're starting off with the distance measurement, area measurement, and then volume measurement, which will allow you to measure stockpiles, understand quantities, and then estimate how many trucks are going to take to add or remove the dirt that we're looking to clear out. So those are a couple of the things we have coming in the next couple months. There's a lot more in store on the roadmap that we'll be excited to share as we go. And if you haven't already started using OpenSpace Air, definitely reach out to your sales representative to take a deeper look and kind of get your first project onboarded. We're super excited about all the folks who've already joined. Thank you again to Lee Kennedy for the demo site and being such a great partner in the development of OpenSpace Air. It's been awesome to see your site evolve alongside with our product. That's all the time we have for today. I'd like to thank Adam and the team at Suffolk for sharing about their experience with Air and helping us battle test the feature set we have and develop the roadmap. And thank you to everyone who was able to join today's webinar. It's great to see so many folks on here and be able to connect. And we look forward to working with many of you on our roadmap and a lot of the upcoming features. We will send out the recording to all registrants soon, so look out for that in the next day or two. And you can, of course, share that with folks on your team. And just as a reminder, we also have resources in our support site, as well as OpenSpace Academy. So stay tuned for more exciting launches coming this summer and the announcement of our annual customer webinar, Waypoint, which is happening this September. All right. Have a great rest of your day or evening, wherever you are. Thank you.